Losing a loved one from suicide is devastating and isolating, and it can result from people not knowing what to say and how to support, or even just to have a stream. But making the effort of connecting is important. It's making the first step is always of importance. Okay, so offering your sincere condolences without questions, without judgment, is of importance. I wrote that down because I didn't want to not have it said to be said, but it's very important that we realize that suicide is very, um, it's permanent, okay, and it's devastating, and it hurts the family, and it hurts the individual themselves. I have had people to say that people who commit suicide are weak, and I had a big problem with that, because um, I beg to differ. They are the strongest, to have had to take their own life, In this case, the Monique Woolley Foundation, my daughter took her own life. And it's for the reason why we're here today, to open the platform for those such as yourself, a survivor, to share their story. So I'm going to turn the platform to you so that you can tell the people um, where, how did it all started when you first got the phone call? Tell us, please.
Thank you so much. I want to honor Monique. And you're absolutely right. It's completely devastating, and it's shameful, and it should not be. They are hurting, and they want the hurt to stop, and they don't know how. It could be many number of things, and we want to help them and support them before it gets to that point. And then the families who are left after, that's what I'm here for. I want to help the families who are here. So how did it all start? I'm going to go back.
Please.
So I grew up in a dysfunctional household, not unlike many others, alcoholism. I was an Alateen in high school. I knew that there was something wrong, right? I'll never forget the first time that I knew that I was afraid and that my family was not like my friend's family. And it was very isolating, like you were mentioning. And getting out of high school at 17, moved out immediately. My father and I were at friction because I was speaking out. He taught me well.
Okay.
And that was not working for their marriage. So I got out right quick and went to work immediately. We owned a business my whole life, so I've always been working. I think we have the same work ethic in that manner. And jumped right into a marriage at 19. And he suffered from alcoholism as well. That felt very comfortable for me, because that's what I grew up in. So we got married at 19, and I got pregnant a year later with my son, Nicholas. Had my son when I was 21, so I didn't even get to celebrate my 21st birthday like others do, but it was great. I had my son, and I was very young and naive. I wasn't really around a whole lot of babies. I didn't really know what to do, and it was that was isolating as well. And his family was amazing. Like, we had lots of cousins the same age, so we used to get together all the time, and that was nice because I was an only child. I have my 5 half sisters and brothers, but they didn't live with me growing up. So it was fun to be around a big family.
Yes.
I let the red flags go by because I was having fun and it was showing me a whole different way of life. So he suffered from his parents getting a divorce, and he used to always say divorce equals death. Like, it really was very traumatic for him. And my parents were still married, so I was not really ever thinking of divorce or anything like that. And so then I had my daughter 3 years later, Cherie, and that's kind of when I was like, hang on, like, you're still partying like you're 25, and I have 2 children, and we have 2 businesses and a couple houses, and like, this has got to stop. And the disconnect when he would drink, which was very often, almost daily, I felt so alone and so afraid. Now, I'm obviously confident and boisterous, so it looked like I was under control and I handled everything, but I wasn't. I was screaming on the inside. And year after year after year, it really wore down on me. And I did not realize that I was being emotionally abused this whole time. And we had money, and we made, great money, and we had houses and cars and all this great stuff. However, on the inside, I was terrified on a daily basis, and it started very slowly. So he would check my pants pockets when I would get home. Just like a simple little silly thing like that. I didn't have any friends of my own. I hung out with his family. His sister was one of my best friends. I was godmother to her parents, she was her kids, and she was godmother to mine. So he created this whole life to where he could feel that his past would not come back to haunt him. And it gave me family and friends, so I didn't realize what was happening. Then I started realizing what was happening. I was very unhappy. He actually quit drinking because I was going to Al-Anon for years, and he did not get any help or any help whatsoever. No support, no 12 steps, no therapist, no medication, no nothing. So it was like dry drunk. So even though the alcohol wasn't there, the behavior was. And then he switched from the alcoholism to me. So now I'm the obsession, which just made everything totally worse. So I was screaming for a couple years, and it came all to a head when I was planning my sister's wedding, my mom's 60th birthday party, and an event at the school. You know what it's like planning events.
Yes, I do.
And you have 3 big events within 2 months, 2 children, 2 businesses, several homes, and all this going. I popped. I was like, oh, I can't do this.
Right.
So I went to church, I went to therapy, I started reaching out. I didn't know what it was, I just knew I couldn't breathe. I just kept saying, I can't breathe. And as soon as I was going to therapy, I started creating boundaries and getting distance from the negativity. That did not work for him. He did not like that at all. He started hanging on tighter when I was pulling away. So a few months went by, probably 3 or 4 months went by. I got a little bit stronger. So I went into my own bedroom and got some distance so I could stop the intimacy. It was not feeling right at all. And so he would walk around my bed in his blue pajamas with a gun down to his side and just be silent and just walk around my bed. And that was obviously a warning. I don't even think I told my therapist that happened.
Wow.
And I was still staying strong in my conviction that I knew I did not want to be married to this man. And that was in January. We went through several months, and I finally said, I gotta get a divorce. And I asked for a divorce. He would not leave the house. We started couples therapy. I was in a group of couples. I felt very safe to share how I really felt. So that was amazing. And then he just flipped a switch when I said I wanted a divorce. You could see him turn into a different personality. And he started the manipulation going. And so finally he left the house. I could breathe. Oh my gosh, I could breathe. So it was me, he left the kids with me. So my 5-year-old daughter, Cherie, and my 8-year-old son, Nicholas. And the stress was out of the house. Like, we started playing games and smiling and having fun. And it was just like, oh my goodness, that stress was so horrible. And there was a situation where he showed up at the house unannounced and just grabbed the kids and took them to school because they were having a field trip that day. He never went to the school. So we ended up kidnapping the children. He was trying to just warn me. I know that was his manipulation. However, we found a letter that he had written, and it was very scary. So we called the police just to see what my terms were and what I should do. And I went to school with the guy. So he knew me, and he's like, oh, show me pictures of your kids. I showed him pictures, and he's like, well, what do you want to do now? And I'm like, well, I guess I need to get a restraining order, because he came to the house unannounced. So my mom and I went to the courts and got a restraining order. It took us several hours. We come out of the courts, and we have to drop the restraining order off at the police station, and there's tons of news crews there. And my mom's like, oh, that's for you, I bet. And I'm like, right over my head, like, what? Like, I feel like all of this is one step in front of the other. Like, I am not even seeing this progress like this. And so it just went crazy. It was all over the news. They were flashing my kids all over. They're kidnapped. We don't know where they're at, their whereabouts. All when I get home from court, I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared to death now. He is gonna freak out. And he did start calling me, what the heck did you do? And he didn't say that word. What'd you do? And I'm like, it's out of my hands. I didn't mean to do this. Like, I just shared with the police. They just went for it. And I said, you gotta come home now. Like, I know you're just trying to manipulate me and scare me, but you gotta come home. That was like Friday. He didn't bring them home until Sunday. So it was a whole thing. He did call me every day. And we set up a whole thing of a police officer friend of ours, and his brother and my sister went and picked him up. The kids come home, everybody was at my house, right? We were in pageants, we were in baseball, we were in dance, we were in like everything. So we had a community in all these different places. So my house was just like, you know, full. Yeah, and I was in just a daze, you know that, daze that you just go into. Unfortunately, I know you know that. And so the kids come home with balloons and stuffed animals and everything. They had a total blast. And then there's a party at the house. They loved parties. So they just thought everything was great. So we went to court next couple weeks after that, and I won everything in court. So now it's gonna go my way. He wanted to work with me in my business. He was playing all kinds of financial games. He has no income now. He's working with a friend. It's like, it was all manipulation. I don't care. I have my own business. I'm fine, like whatever. So that's when it started. I got the kids for 8 weeks, and his family begged me to see the kids. And it was Father's Day and his birthday that they missed, or he missed. And so I gave his sister visitation, supervised visitation, and said, yes, you can take the kids on vacation to the Shasta, to the houseboat, because all of the cousins, we all hung out together. Yeah. And the kids missed their dad. And so I said yes to that. I had a boyfriend. I started dating a young gentleman. And so when they took the kids, I got to go play with my new boo. And we went to a festival and together. And my almost ex-husband to be shows up with my children. The kids were supposed to be with his family, not him. My daughter was on his shoulders and he was holding my son's hands. And he started shouting profanities at us. And so we ran to the police station immediately because I was scared to death. Yes. I go to the police station and it's a gentleman that I bowl with. So he knows me as a pillar of the community and doesn't think anything's gonna go wrong. And it's like, you know, there's nothing we can do to help you. We don't know where he's at now. I'm freaking out. So we go to my boyfriend's house. I call my attorney. What do I do? I'm pacing. It was horrible. And she said, we'll go to court Monday. That's it, right? You get everything on Monday. I'm like, okay, great. So at least I know I don't have to worry about court anymore. So then that night I owned a newspaper distributorship and I had to deliver newspapers at 2 a.m. So that night I went to go pick up my newspapers. He pulls up with my daughter on his lap in a rented van with a gun to her head and said, get in the car. So I get in the van. You go into mother cub mode.
Yeah, yes.
Right away. And so I jump in the car and I grab my daughter. My son's in the backseat. I'm holding my son's hand. I'm like, don't even worry. Dad's just being so silly. Now, they've been with him for several days. They just saw me at the park, at the vent with him yelling at me and screaming at me. So they're scared. Yes. So I'm grabbing them and holding them. He drives us to the house, pulls in the driveway, keeps the kids in the car and takes me into the office inside the house. Blocks the door, sits at the door so I can't get out, throws a duffel bag at me. Open the duffel bag, there's papers in there he wants me to sign, duct tape, a rope, all this stuff. And I'm like, I am not doing this. Like, I was going to therapy, I was all strong and tough, right? Like, I am not doing this. So we were there for a couple hours, whatever it was, and I was supposed to be with my employees. I have 10 employees. They're calling the phone like crazy, like, where are you? You don't not go every day. 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 10 years, like you don't not go. So he had to let me go. And he's like, I'm just gonna follow you. So he let me go and followed me. And then as soon as he stopped following me, I ran across the street to the good old payphones, called 911. That started the 11-hour hostage negotiation day. So we went up to the house. It took them forever to go in the house. It was 4 a.m. and finally they go in, the SWAT's coming, you know, the whole thing. It was just a crazy circus. And I knew that he was just trying to scare me. Yes. And so there was 2 houses over and it was a husband and wife and they were nurses. And so they let me camp out there. And this was a small town. These police officers had not experienced this before. Like, this was not easy for anyone at all. And they always ask me, what will he do? And I'm like, they'll shoot at you. He'll shoot at you and he'll shoot at me. He's not gonna hurt the kids, but he wants me and he wants you.
11 hours.
11 hours. And so they would bring me up and go up the stairs. Finally, they went in. He's up and barricaded in the master bedroom. They'd bring me up on the stairs and try to negotiate. And then they'd down every couple hours. I'd try to go in to negotiate. And the negotiator worked really hard. And at the end of 11 hours, the chief of police came on the scene and gave him an ultimatum. Said, you have 10 minutes to get out. 10 minutes, 3 shots were fired. And I'm sitting at the house at the nurses, and they gave me a pill and said, take this pill. They knew that they were shots. I did not know. And your head's not gonna go there, right? It's just not gonna go, you're not gonna think that. So I took this pill, thank goodness. It took forever for anything to happen. It took them forever to go in, first of all, again, and then the ambulances come, and the stretchers come. And you see the stretcher with this little tiny body on the stretcher. You know it's my kids. In my head, they're alive. And they just saw their father kill himself. And we're going to need a lot of therapy. It took forever. My friends are screaming, come talk to the mother, tell the mother, tell the mother. His family's on the driveway, screaming, bawling, whatever. And I'm up here. Finally, the negotiator comes over to me. It's the only thing I remember is his bright red eyes. He had just been bawling. And he knelt down. I was like sitting on a bench like this in front of their house. He knelt down and just grabbed my legs and just said, I am so sorry. He took the lives of both of your children and himself in your master closet. And I was 29. There's a lot more to that, but we'll have to do part 2. I had to leave there. I had friends there, thank goodness. I had to leave there and go to each hospital. Now I guess the negotiator told me, he said he shot them. He shot them, he shot them, he shot them. So I didn't know that they were gone yet. And I'm thinking, worst case scenario, wheelchairs. Okay, that's fine, we got this. Let's go. So I get my girls, they pick me up, and I walk down the driveway, and his family's still freaking out, and I scream and yell at them, knock it off. They're gonna need us right now, knock it off. That was not nice. And then we get in the car, we go to the first hospital, we go into the little chapel. Not good news when you go into the little chapel. It took them forever to come and tell me. I guess it's a trauma, so they have to work on it's a child. Yes. So they work on him for a really long time before they pronounce him dead. The doctor finally came in and told me. And sitting here with you right now, I don't know which one was first. I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was my daughter was first. And I only am so thankful for that nurse giving me the pill, because I would have died right there. Yes. And it gave me strength to go in and see. And it was my daughter. I'm almost sure it was my daughter first. And she was shot in the head, so there was bandages around her head, and she looked totally precious with her little white, the sheet all the way up to her, and you could just see her little face. And the nurses there said, she's just beautiful. She looks so amazing. She looks beautiful. I walk in there and I'm like, no. My friends carried me in there and carried me out. I'm like, she did not look like my daughter at all. Then I have to go to the next hospital. And my girlfriend called my boyfriend. We had been dating for like 6 weeks or something. I had known him the year before, which was a private mistake that I'll share at another time.
Okay.
And he showed up at the hospital. And so he drove me to the next hospital. And then I went in. There was no chapel. We were all in a room. And I walked up through that hospital, through his family, his brother and his brother's wife. And she was pissed off. She was screaming and cussing. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, I felt like somebody was so mad at him. And I was like, thank you. I've been mad at him for 7 months. Like, thank you for stepping up. She was saying everything that I wanted to say. And so I went in there to see if my son was okay. And then we were there for a long time, and somebody flippantly said, oh, they didn't tell you he died as well? there's no reason to live at that point. There's no reason to live. There's no reason to be there.
I'm so sorry.
You literally leave your body. You just leave your body. Here's the thing. I was never mad at him. Never. I saw the mental break when I asked for a divorce. I called his family. I told them. I told people. Nobody believed me. Like, I saw the break. And I'm like, he needs help. He needs to be committed. He needs to be in like something. He needs help. It was so hard for people not to believe me. It was really hard. And I was scared to death. I was scared to death. I never thought in a million years that he would ever hurt those children, ever. He was a great dad. As crazy that is. I know alcoholism and mental illness, and I understand that, but setting that aside, behavior-wise, he was an amazing person. He just lost it. So suicide is literally when someone is at their very last rope. And here's the kicker. The negotiator had him coming out. He had him stripped down to his jeans. He was ready to walk out. And the chief of police came on the scene and was taught to speed it up. And that's what made him flip over the edge. So mental illness is real, y'all.
Yes, it's no joke.
It's no joke, it's a real thing, and they do not want to be there. They do not want to feel that.
Nope.
They do not want to hurt us or anyone. They just can't handle the hurt themselves, and whatever that means. Whew. Both my kids, Nicholas and Cherie, at the time of this video, Nicholas just turned 38 2 days ago.
38 years old.
My daughter Cherie would turn 35 on Saturday.
Monique would have been 41.
Oh, they're so having fun right
Yes,
now. They are so having fun right now.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
bless those little beans, I tell you. I wonder what they'd be, right?
My God.
It's so interesting to see that. I think that all the time. And
I think what really hurt me the most is the opportunity to have seen her in a gown to go get married, and because I have she has her son.
yeah,
Unfortunately we were unable to visit him. That was part of her depression, that he would threaten to take him away and so on and so forth. And he did that. He accomplished that by taking, the minute Monique passed away, he took my grandson
yeah.
and deprived me of being a grandmother.
Yeah.
But all is well. He'll be 18 one of these days.
And he'll come.
And he'll
come looking.
So, just why I'm doing this, so that he knows that his mom did commit suicide, and suicide is of importance. But here's the outcome of it all, that we are helping people to heal. We're giving people hope. We're keeping hope alive is of importance, that we as a human race come together and realize that there is help out there, and stop the stigma.
Yeah.
People are crying out for help.
Yeah.
But they're not getting it. They're not getting it because most of the time people say, the families who don't know,
Yep.
and snap out of it. You know what I mean? Or you get over it. Go to
Take
sleep.
a pill.
Take a pill.
Take another pill.
You feel me?
Can't sleep now? Take another pill.
Listen.
You're tired during the day? Take another pill.
It goes on and on and on. But I have to tell you that my heart goes out to you, and your pain. I can feel your pain. The question that I would want for you to share with the people now, if someone is contemplating suicide right now, what would you say to the families? A way of helping them and understanding that this too shall pass. What would you say to them?
Absolutely. There's sometimes there's signs and sometimes there's not signs. I have a very good friend that her love of her life did not really give a sign. And so there's not always signs, but if you know that there's any trauma in someone's life, dysfunction, trauma, the third thing is what puts somebody over the edge. So we all must support each other. And we must I lived on the therapy couch for 10 years, right? To be here right now, and I've been coached for the next 20 years, right? I reach out every day. I have a soul sister group that I'm at continuously. You and I help each other. We cannot do this alone. We cannot do life alone. Always reach out and talk to someone. If you don't know about your family or what's going on, ask them. And here's where we have to put the oxygen mask on first, because we have to have our stuff aligned and empowered enough to be able to help someone else. So we are all here to take care of ourselves, but let's be aware that this is real. This is real, and it can come like that and it can go like that. It's like the ocean, right? Like you could feel horrible at one moment and literally change your energy, change your dopamine, change the music, do some jumping jacks, grab somebody else's hand, feel their energy,
and it's
going to be okay. It might come back, and that's okay. You reach out again. It's okay. And when you're feeling blue, think yellow. Because we're here.
Well, we're going to end up on this note: when feeling blue, think yellow.
Absolutely.
And we encourage all those who have a story to be told, because we truly believe that every story deserves to be heard, and everyone's uniqueness is in their own story. And there's a journey. The journey is what we have to understand, that each individual is unique in their own journey. So if you'd like to join us with the Monique Woolley Foundation and support us and become a volunteer, anything like that, if you find it in your heart to give, this is what we do. We help those to begin their healing. So we thank you today for your listening ear, and please tune in again for the next story with the Monique Woolley Foundation. When feeling blue,
think yellow.
Yes.
Hottie yellow.